Every single month, millions of women drag themselves to the gym during their period, push through exhaustion, wonder why their weights feel heavier than last week, blame themselves for being weak, and then feel guilty for not performing at their best. And not a single one of them was ever told the truth. It is that your body is going through 4 completely different hormonal phases every single month. And in each of those phases, your muscles, your energy, your recovery, your strength, and your pain tolerance are operating at completely different levels. Training the same way every single week of the month is not discipline. It is working against your own biology. And today I am going to show you exactly what is happening inside your body during your period, and why the way you exercise during this phase is either the best thing you can do for your long-term fitness or the worst. Let me start by explaining something that almost nobody talks about. Your body is not the same body every week. Men have a relatively stable hormonal environment that cycles every 24 hours. Women have a hormonal environment that cycles every 28 to 32 days. This means your energy levels, your strength capacity, your pain tolerance, your cardiovascular efficiency, your body temperature, your recovery speed, and your mental focus are all changing dramatically every single week. Exercise science for decades was built almost entirely on male subjects. The standard advice, train hard, rest, repeat, do the same program every week, was designed for a male hormonal cycle. Women have been following it for decades and wondering why some weeks feel incredible and other weeks feel like moving through concrete. The answer is not your mindset. The answer is your hormones. The menstrual cycle has 4 phases. The menstrual phase, the follicular phase, the ovulatory phase, and the luteal phase. Today we are focusing on the menstrual phase, the days of your actual period, typically days 1 through 5. This is the phase that is most misunderstood, most pushed through, and most punished by the standard fitness advice that tells you to keep going no matter what. Let me tell you what is actually happening in your body during these days, and then I will tell you exactly how to exercise in a way that works with your body instead of against it. On day 1 of your period, estrogen and progesterone are both at their absolute lowest point. These are the 2 primary female sex hormones, and when they crash simultaneously, your body experiences a rapid withdrawal. This hormonal withdrawal is why you feel what you feel. It is not weakness. It is not laziness. It is a biochemical reality happening inside every cell of your body. The uterus is contracting to shed its lining. Prostaglandins, hormone-like compounds that trigger these contractions, are flooding your pelvic region. Prostaglandins are inflammatory by nature. They cause the cramps. They cause the lower back pain. And they also enter your bloodstream and cause the headaches, the nausea, the digestive disruption, and the general full-body malaise that many women experience in the first 1 to 2 days. Your iron levels begin dropping as you lose blood. Iron is essential for carrying oxygen to your muscles. Lower iron means lower oxygen delivery. Lower oxygen delivery means reduced endurance, faster fatigue, and slower recovery. Your core body temperature drops slightly. Your pain tolerance is at its lowest point in the entire cycle because estrogen, which has pain-modulating effects, is at its floor. Your nervous system is in a slightly more sensitized state, meaning everything feels harder and more uncomfortable than it would at other points in the month. And your glycogen storage capacity, the way your muscles hold fuel, is reduced compared to the follicular and ovulatory phases that come later. Now here is what happens when you ignore all of this and push through an intense workout anyway. High-intensity exercise triggers a significant cortisol response. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone. During the menstrual phase, your body is already under physical stress from the hormonal withdrawal and the inflammatory prostaglandin activity. Adding a high cortisol exercise session on top of this existing stress state pushes your total inflammatory load higher. This amplifies cramping in many women, worsens fatigue, impairs recovery, disrupts sleep, which is already fragmented for many women during their period, and for some women can actually increase the duration and heaviness of their flow. The research on this is growing, and it consistently shows that high-intensity training during the early menstrual phase produces worse performance outcomes, worse recovery, and higher perceived exertion compared to the same training done 1 week later. But here is where it gets interesting. Low to moderate intensity exercise during the menstrual phase actually does the opposite. Studies show that gentle to moderate movement during your period significantly reduces prostaglandin levels in the bloodstream. Exercise causes your body to release endorphins and endocannabinoids, your body's natural pain relievers, which directly counteract the prostaglandin pain signals. Regular low-intensity movement during the menstrual phase reduces cramping intensity, reduces bloating, improves mood, reduces the fatigue associated with low estrogen, and in women who exercise consistently during their periods over multiple months, studies show measurable reductions in overall menstrual pain severity. Movement is medicine during your period. The intensity is just completely wrong. So, what does the right exercise actually look like during the menstrual phase? Let me be very specific. On days 1 and 2, which are typically the heaviest and most symptomatic days, the ideal exercise is low-intensity, steady-state movement. A 20 to 40-minute walk at a comfortable conversational pace. Gentle yoga, specifically yin yoga or restorative yoga, focused on hip opening and lower back release, is extraordinarily effective at this stage. Child's pose, pigeon pose, supine spinal twists, butterfly pose. These positions directly address the areas where prostaglandin cramping is concentrated. Swimming at a gentle pace is another excellent option if you are comfortable with it during your period. Light cycling on a stationary bike at low resistance. These activities get blood flowing, release endorphins, and reduce prostaglandins without triggering a high cortisol stress response. On days 3 and 4, as estrogen begins its early rise and symptoms typically begin to ease, you can introduce slightly more intensity. Bodyweight exercises at moderate effort, squats, lunges, glute bridges, modified push-ups, done at a comfortable pace with full rest between sets are appropriate at this stage. Light to moderate resistance training is also suitable as long as you are not grinding through maximum effort sets. The key principle is this: if the exercise is increasing your cramps, your nausea, or your fatigue significantly, you are working too hard. Your body is giving you clear feedback, and during the menstrual phase you should listen to it. By day 5, for most women, estrogen is climbing noticeably, and you will feel a genuine shift in energy. This is the beginning of the follicular phase, which is your superpower phase. But we will get to that in another video. What matters now is that you use days 1 through 5 strategically, rather than either completely skipping exercise or pushing through intensity that your body is actively protesting. Now let me address the mental side of this, because it is just as important as the physical. The fitness culture we live in has a deeply problematic relationship with rest and perceived weakness. No days off, no excuses. Push through the pain. These mantras were not designed with female biology in mind. When you force yourself through a brutal workout on day 1 of your period, and you perform worse than last week, and you feel terrible afterwards, the standard fitness narrative tells you that you failed. You did not fail. You were fighting against your own hormones with inadequate tools, and nobody told you that the rules were different this week. Recognizing that your menstrual phase requires a different approach is not weakness. It is advanced athletic intelligence. Elite female athletes, Olympic track athletes, professional soccer players, tennis professionals are now cycle syncing their training as standard practice. What the highest level athletes in the world have figured out is that working with your hormonal cycle produces better long-term performance outcomes than ignoring it. There is also something critically important to understand about strength training, specifically during the menstrual phase. The research shows that the menstrual phase and the early follicular phase, roughly days 1 through 7, are actually an excellent time for moderate strength training in terms of muscle adaptation. Here is why. Estrogen, even at its lowest point during menstruation, still has muscle protective effects on connective tissue. Your joints are not at their most lax point yet. That comes during ovulation when estrogen and relaxin peak. This means that moderate strength work during the menstrual phase carries lower injury risk to ligaments and tendons than training during the ovulatory phase when joint laxity is highest. The key word again is moderate. You are not going for personal records during your period. You are maintaining strength with controlled movement at 60 to 70% of your maximum effort, prioritizing form over load, and giving yourself longer rest periods between sets. Nutrition during the menstrual phase also directly affects how your exercise feels and how well you recover from it. Iron losses from bleeding need to be compensated. Iron-rich foods, red meat, leafy greens, lentils, pumpkin seeds, consumed with vitamin C to enhance absorption, support your oxygen-carrying capacity and reduce the energy crash that blood loss causes. Magnesium is particularly important during the menstrual phase. Magnesium has direct muscle relaxant effects on the uterus and reduces prostaglandin synthesis. Studies show that women with higher magnesium intake have significantly less severe menstrual cramping. Dark chocolate, avocado, nuts, seeds, and leafy greens are all excellent magnesium sources. Omega-3 fatty acids from fatty fish, flaxseed, and walnuts also reduce prostaglandin production and directly reduce menstrual pain. Hydration is critical because prostaglandins cause water retention and bloating, and adequate water intake helps flush them from your system faster. Reducing caffeine during the first 2 days specifically can also reduce cramping severity in many women, as caffeine causes vasoconstriction that can worsen menstrual pain. Sleep during the menstrual phase deserves its own conversation. Progesterone, which normally has a sleep-promoting sedative effect, crashes at the start of your period. This is why so many women report disrupted sleep during their period. The hormone that helped them sleep is gone. Core body temperature regulation is also disrupted. Prioritizing sleep during your period is not laziness. It is recovery. The growth hormone released during deep sleep is one of the primary drivers of muscle repair and adaptation. When sleep is disrupted, your recovery from any exercise you do is significantly impaired. If you are choosing between a 6 a.m. workout and an extra hour of sleep during your period, the sleep will produce better fitness outcomes in the long run. The bigger picture here is this. Your menstrual cycle is not an obstacle to your fitness. It is a map. When you understand what each phase of your cycle is doing to your hormones, your muscles, your energy, and your recovery, you can plan your training to take maximum advantage of the high-performance phases and use the lower phases for active recovery, skill work, mobility, and foundation building. The women who figure this out stop dreading their period weeks at the gym. They start using them deliberately. They know that the hard training is coming. They know exactly when their body will be ready for it. And they know that protecting their recovery during the menstrual phase is what makes the high-performance phases even more powerful. Your period is not holding you back. The information you were never given is what was holding you back. And now you have it.